We're gonna get the party started. We have Wayne Carr himself on the call today, and we just recently came up with an idea, and we were actually thinking just strictly keep it to agency call. This is a newer call that we have, the Q&A on Wednesdays. We thought it'd be very helpful, but you know, I thought that we probably want to bring every single Hall of Fame producer. Just for all of you guys that don't know yet, that Hall of Fame is 400,000 issued on his or her own pen, and Wayne's one of them, obviously. But initially, we thought we should bring every single Hall of Fame producer of 2020 to our agency call, and we realized it's not going to be enough calls in 2021 to handle every single Hall of Fame producer, which is insane. It's not to undermine Wayne's achievement, because he's still a Hall of Fame producer. He deserves a round of applause, and he's, by the way, the two-time Hall of Fame producer. So, but we realized, you know what? Like, we probably should get some of the Hall of Fame producers on the Q&A call. So next, probably not 30 weeks, but closer to 27, because we've seen some of the Hall of Fame producers this year so far. Steve, Rob was on it, and probably a couple others already. So we're probably going to have 28 weeks left, where we're going to, every single call going forward, we're going to have a Hall of Fame producer. So somebody that issued 400,000. And, I mean, all of you guys that's on the call today, already, and I'm pretty sure more people will jump on, want the same thing. So, which makes a ton of sense to me. I mean, I'm not mad at issuing 400,000 plus myself. That allowed me to build this big business. A lot of what we're gonna talk about will be that, because Wayne's on fire. All right, so he's building a machine. He's using his personal production money to do that, and there's a lot to learn from him today. But Wayne, I can tell you definitely in the field. So how's your day going, man?
It's rough, it's a little windy down here today. Uh, a balming 82 degrees, so it's a rough life, but somebody's got to do it.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I guess I'm looking outside now, and there's a bunch of snow there, and that's why I hated door knocking in the winter in Chicago. I've learned how to be good on the phone, so I don't have to door knock, because that's insanely uncomfortable. Heck, man, I still did it. But anyways, so Wayne, I mean, I'm pretty sure now that I'm looking at the list who's on the call, that every single person knows you. So, but kind of refresh in our mind. So how long you've been in the business, how you got in. Just take a couple minutes to cover that, then we're gonna go right into the Q&A. I'm gonna ask you some questions, and we're gonna open up the line. Should be wrapping up in 30 to 40 minutes today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. But I've been here. It was July of 15 or September of 15, actually, when I got licensed and first started writing. September, October was my beginning at FFL, and I was introduced to FFL by Mark. I knew Mark personally through my ex-wife. We spoke in the summer of 14. We both dropped the ball, didn't connect on Family First Life. He was in insurance at that point at another company, not FFL yet. So he dropped the ball, didn't give me the info. I didn't follow up because, for whatever reason, called him a summer later to try to present something else to him, because we had done a few MLMs together. So like-minded. So we kind of bounced ideas off of each other that way. And he basically told me what he deposited the month before. And it just made so much sense. And it was 80 grand. So I was like, if I can deposit 20 grand a month, like, my life changes dramatically. So, I mean, at that point I was in, just knowing what I knew about Mark and everybody in his family. I knew if it was 80 grand, that it was legit 80 grand, probably a little bit more, that just stuck out in his head for some reason. So, it was really no question from there. And then knowing the relationship that I had with him, and then seeing, I knew that I had support and that he wouldn't within reason that he wouldn't let me fail. And then once I got here, seeing the support from everybody across the board through just their genuine support, or through the fact that they knew that I was associated with Mark, it just made it a lot easier to kind of stick around and weather the storm and trudge through chargebacks, through days of no sales, through those lulls that we all have, until I got to a point where I could kind of talk myself through those things and not really depend on other people. Like 5 years, five full years. So 260, 265 my first year. My first full year was 16. My second full year was 17. It was the first time I hit Hall of Fame. My third full year, 18, was 360 and some change. My fourth full year, 19, was like 320, 340. And then last year, my fifth full year, was just a little over 420. I don't know what the final number was because I didn't calculate it. Once I was in, I was in. And then I didn't pay attention to the last week or two of numbers when they were released. That's essentially my truncated journey at FFL to date. And then started building an agency probably year 3. Didn't really get serious until last year about building, which I deeply regret, like most people you'll talk to. So I mean, now here we are doing just that, 300 a month, looking to go to 500 coming out of conference, get as many of you to conference in front of this opportunity so that they can see it like I do, as humanly possible, so that we can essentially grow this thing together and grow you.
Awesome. Well, here you are, obviously swinging, and I think once you got serious, it was a no-brainer. You guys keep adding writers. I think no one has as much momentum as you are. It's crazy. And speaking of opportunity and what you mentioned here on the call, I know you had MLM experience before, and I know you can understand what the difference between our deal and MLM clearly. And I saw you like kind of engaging with somebody on the Facebook and comments recently, which was fun. Fun to watch how you were defending FFL opportunity. That it's and the lady, like some random lady, just probably has nothing to do. She probably makes 30,000 a year, engaged with you over lunchtime, and you took a bait. I'm just kidding. You were.
No, I did. I was bored. I was sitting on the plane bored. I was bouncing back and forth between that and the agenda for this week. So
yeah, so we're gonna skip that conversation. You trying to prove us this is not any kind of MLM. We all know it's not. So people make real money. There's real bank accounts are real, families are real. Families of our clients that we help are real. Everything is real. So we're gonna skip that. We know that. It's not, and that's how it's structured, and the agent here gets majority of the commission. So that's the main thing. And so we doing the right thing. So but anyways, get into Hall of Fame, for some of the people that look, and I know I can go through the names here. I know like who's looking to hit Hall of Fame in 2021. What can you tell them, Wayne? What is it they should start doing like right now today? What they should be paying attention to and what they should not be paying attention to?
I think the biggest thing is I'll say don't look at the scoreboard, but I want you to be conscious of and pay attention to the people that are issuing $50,000-$60,000 a month consistently, because they continue to prove that it's doable. And all you really need to do to hit Hall of Fame is $34,000 every month. So if you have a month in there where you do those numbers, then you'll get there. But don't look at the scoreboard like from a comparison standpoint. Just look at it to kind of edify and set your belief level. But aside from that, it really just comes down to leads and being intentional about what you're doing. Like most things in life, a lot of things that you learn here transcend the insurance industry. Either it's helping or it's hurting. And just be mindful of that. Is this helping me get the Hall of Fame, or is this putting another obstacle in the place of me getting the Hall of Fame? So you need to make sure that you have leads, obviously, and then protect your dial time. Because if you don't do those two things, then nothing else happens. If you don't have enough leads, then your dial time is going to be dreadful. because you don't have enough people to call, and you'll come up with reasons why you don't have enough appointments. But if you have enough leads, then dial time is a breeze because you have more than enough people to talk to. And then once you finish dialing the phones, if you protect your dial time and start at 7:30, 8 o'clock every day when the dial session comes around, then you'll have the appointments. And there's no way that you spend the time, you spend the money buying the leads, spend the time booking the appointments, and don't go pick up those checks.
For sure.
So
Can you be
just those two things.
Can you be more specific about what does it really take to protect the dial time, the amount of dials? Can you give us a gist of what it really takes to make it happen? Because what I gathered so far, it's leads and dials, right? So all these things, but what is it? What does it look like? How leads, amount of dials, that type of stuff. So people understand what it really takes. Because some agents that I talk to, they're like, yeah, but I dialed, and okay, how many times? 53. Okay, got it. How long does it take to make one dial? Well, let's assume it's 1 minute. You work for 53 minutes. Like, what do you expect, right? So give us that.
So it depends on the lead type. If you're working exclusively instant internet life leads, you probably want a fresh 50 per dial session, but probably somewhere between 75 and 150 a week. If you're working anything less than that, then that number is definitely a solid 100 to 150, maybe 200 a week. If you're working the 1 month, 2 months, and they're less expensive. I would highly recommend that you load up when there's sales, but you have to have an abundance of leads. And then when you get those 100, those 75, 100, 150 leads, you want to split them in sections of 25. So the way that I do it is if I have 100 leads, that's 4 sections of 25. I'm taking that one section of 25, dialing through it once to get the low hanging fruit, and then dialing through it again 3 times back to back before I move on to that second set. That way I get everybody that's just going to answer the phone, and then I go back and get the people that may be a little hesitant to answer the phone because their phone rings nonstop. And I'm starting as close to 8 o'clock as humanly possible. I'm not getting to the office at 8 o'clock and shuffling around with my leads trying to figure out what I'm going to do. By the time that time rolls around, I'm on the phone pushing buttons. And that means that either I get up early in the morning, or I get up early every day. That either I'm preparing those leads in the morning, or I'm preparing those leads at night, the night before, so that I can do other things in the morning. And then when I sit down to dial, like Ivan just said, 53 dials is an hour's worth of work. So you want to be on a 45, 50 dials per hour. So every time you hit talk, it counts as a dial. So you want to hit that 45, 50 dials an hour mark, and there's dial trackers to track it so that you can pace yourself. And I'm a big proponent of 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 50 minutes on, 10 minutes off until your appointments are booked, just so that you don't get burnt out from pushing the touchscreen on your phone. And you get up and stretch your legs and maybe have a conversation with somebody about objections. You also need to get to an office. Dialing by yourself is self-sabotage because nobody can hear you. You can't hear anybody else. And what happens when you're in the office, you pick up tips and tricks from other people that are dialing. You hear word tracks, or they're listening to you offering unsolicited advice. But also be mindful of who you take advice from. Don't take advice from that person that's only got 5 appointments, 3 or 5 appointments the next 2 days. Make sure that you're around somebody that can actually dial the phones, or get in the virtual office. That's why we have it, so that you can hear the Jose who writes $13,000 in the weekends, or the Kevin's who's figured out that he needs to be on the phone and is pretty good on the phone. Just trying to transition that into consistency. So get to an office, virtual office, 50 dials an hour, track your dials, and the rest should take care of itself. I think that's everything.
That makes perfect sense. Well, let's dive into the building side of it. I want to definitely be respectful of your time as you in the field. So now, Wayne, momentum's insane. So you keep bringing people, you keep getting them moving, people making money, you helping agents do what they need to do, what they want to do. So can you, and you said something interesting also. You, like everybody else, regret that you didn't started building for real sooner. Can you expand on that a little bit and just talk to us what the real opportunity is, what's ahead of you, what do you, and just kind of talk to us in the sense of what the 2021 is gonna hold for you? What are your goals for 2021? Because obviously, if you know, if you would just start building quicker, 2021 wouldn't be that; it would be 2019, right? So, can you kind of fill us in a little bit on what you're doing right now?
Yeah, and I like to use if you've worked with me directly or talked to me more than once or twice, like I use a lot of gym analogies because it just makes all the sense in the world. And it's just like if like look at what good a shape you're in now or whatever shape you're in now, and think about if you would have started working out 5 years ago or 3 years ago consistently, what kind of shape you would be in. It's the same with the business. If I start hiring from day one instead of year three, that's another 2 years of growth and consistency and consistent in impacting people's lives, both people that I plug into the business and people that I protect on both sides. So it puts my business in a completely different space now if I started from day one than starting in 2018 passively and getting serious about it in late 2019 and throughout 2020. It just puts me in a completely different space business wise. And I think I guess the best way to put it is I was talking to a guy earlier today who's at another IMO, and I'm like, and I know he goes to the gym. I'm like, hey, how much do you lift? How much do you bench? He said 225. I was like, do you think you can do 240? He said, nah, not really. I was like, okay, so if you had 5 people spotting you, do you think you can do 240? He said, yeah, without a doubt. That's what family first life is. And the earlier you start, you bring somebody in from the beginning, you have a workout buddy or somebody to constantly spot you and push you. So for those first couple of weeks, you might need those spots to get 240. But if you do it consistently for 2 weeks, before you know it, you're doing 3 sets of 10 at 240. And now they're spotting you to get to 260, 275. So that's what kind of building does for you. If you think just going back to the beginning, just think about what shape you're in now, where you wish you would have been, and if you had started working out 5 years ago consistently, how much closer to that goal or what your new goals would be as a result, because you'd already surpassed what your goal is now. That's essentially what we're talking about when we say I wish I would have started sooner or start now, because 5 months from now you're going to wish you had started now, and now you're starting 5 months from now. And you have, going back to the spot analogy, you have the best spotters in the industry helping you build this thing. So we're not gonna let you fall. All you have to do is pick up the phone and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, and we're going to make sure that you have all the resources or have the marching orders that are necessary to accomplish whatever it is you want to accomplish. And that's and you look at the landscape of things. You think of Grady, who's been in the business for what, 2 years? Who's been in
He
the business for 2
started
years.
in the January 3rd, 2018. That's when he started.
Okay, so 2 solid years, going into his third year now, and he's negotiating an integrity deal, which didn't exist when I started, but now that it exists and everybody has kind of a pseudo finish line, like everybody should be shooting for that. So you have Grady, who's been here 2 years, who's already achieved that. You have Dave Wichard, who's been here for, I think, going on a year, who's going to achieve that within a year, which is the fastest anybody's ever done it. So that's the bar. So, I mean, you look at those things and what those people have been able to accomplish. And if that's not what you want, that's fine. But if it is what you want, then you have the blueprint across the board at whatever pace you want to go at. Like you have a 2 year pace, you have a 12-month pace, you have Ivan, who's been here for what, 3-4 years? You have a
But
3 or 4 year pace. You have me, who's been here for 5 years. You have like whatever pace you want to. Don't do the 4 or 5 year plan, because it's torture. I promise you. And Ivan will tell you it's torture. So find that 2 year, that 1 year, 2 year, 3 year plan, and put yourself on that path and start hiring and use them as your spotters, because they're going to give you willingly the information, just like a personal trainer would give you the meal plan and the workout plan. Like Grady's going to give it to you. Ivan's going to, like, they're all going to give it to you.
Wayne, 2021 goal. What is it for you?
We're at about 300,000 now. I'm looking to be at 500 by the end of March. So we should do it in February, but definitely in March, do 500,000. And then I'm looking at the summertime, because from there, it's really just a matter of doing what I just said, just having this conversation with the people on my team that said that we wanted it so that we can multiply instead of adding. and I can help them start growing their agencies, and not focus so much on mine, understanding that if I help enough of them, that I'm ultimately going to hit my goal. So I'm
Right.
looking at being at a million a month, by June, July. So I can go into the third and fourth quarter, and not really think about, basically, and reset goals, and reset goals and reassess and retool from there. Because I mean, once that happens, everything has to shift, because it's a different conversation. And then I'm trying to reach back, like I said before, and help as many people duplicate that as possible, so that I can change their lives and they can experience the same things that I've been able to do. Like, I mean, Hudson asked me, he's 6 now, but he asked me for a boat at 2. At 2 years old, I didn't know, and I don't think I had seen a boat in person, let alone know enough to say, hey, I want a boat. But I mean, he's exposed to those things because of the decisions that I made over the course of the last 5 years. And that's what drives me, essentially. That's my why.
Wow, that's powerful, man. And I love hearing that, and I have zero doubt that you're gonna come through with your goals, because I think you understand very well that you could not do the same things to hit new levels. So you're definitely doing different things. And Jorge here is texting, "Oh, 1 million a month," and that emoji with where your brain's being blown. So I mean, that's the new standard, guys. Essentially, now that we've seen that anybody can hit 1 million in 11 months, like there's going to be somebody that's going to come after that goal, and
Yeah.
and this is like, it's not just possible now. It looks so real that, like, will everybody do it? No. Can anybody do it? Yes. It just comes down to basics, because what I gathered from this conversation here, Wayne, that just being consistent, being present, raising the hand, saying I need help. That's all it is, right? So being serious about what you do. But I'm gonna get out of the way. I'm pretty sure many people have questions here. I have DeAndre that raised his hand. So DeAndre, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask a question.
So the question I wanted to ask was about the dials. So I do know that he said I need to get 100 dials in. So should I buy starting off, should I buy purchase the $4 leads to make sure I get 100 people to dial? And or because I've been buying the instant leads, or should I just save a little more cash and get 100 instant leads, which is $1,000? I mean, like what are we saying?
It's not a people thing, it's a dials thing. So I guess the first question would be, how long have you been here? FFL.
Maybe this is still in my first month.
Okay. Are you full-time or part-time?
I'm full-time.
Okay, so if you're full-time, whatever it takes for you to get to that basically 100 plus leads a week, if it's a mixture of instant internet life in 1 month, and it also depends on your budget, because I'm not trying to get you evicted or put you in the poorhouse. I'm trying to get you as many opportunities to win as possible. So if we need to maximize the $4 leads because your budget says that, or maximize the $9 leads because your budget says that, I'm looking at, so if we can do 25, 50, $11 leads at $500 and do another $54 leads at $200, then we're out the door $700, $725 with fees, and you have the leads that you need, if that makes sense. So it's not so much, it's more of an opportunities thing than it is an ironclad number. Everybody's situation is different. And it starts with essentially what your budget is, what you can afford to invest in leads, and we'll build a lead plan around those. That's why we have that lead conversation first before we send you to buy leads, so that we can kind of walk you through those things and what it looks like. Does that help?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Awesome. Nehemiah, what's your question, my man?
How do you recover from a denied app in the home?
I think it starts in the beginning, by setting the expectation that that you're gonna put them in the best position to get approved, and you work with 15, 20 different carriers. And if you don't get approved, don't take it personally. It's not my decision, it's theirs, and we'll figure out how we can put some coverage in place to protect your family. So if you set that from the beginning, and also when you transition, say, okay, so we're going to submit this request for coverage to Mutual of Omaha, and Mutual of Omaha kicks it back and say, Mutual of Omaha must have saw something that they didn't like. Let me reach out and get your family covered there. Americo's still an A-rated company. We're still going to get you the same $30,000, $20,000. The major difference is, and then just walk through the differences, is that this also has common carrier. They're A-rated. It's going to give me an instant approval as well. It's just going to be a couple dollars more expensive because they have more lenient, and then just submit it. And just transition from there. If you're already out of the house and you have to go back because it didn't get person, it got declined a couple of days later, then you just come and say, hey, Nehemiah, this is Wayne. I was just giving you a call. The company wants me to grab a couple of signatures for you. I'll be in your area Saturday. Would you prefer morning, afternoon, or evening? Never telling them over the phone. I'm not having that
Gotcha.
conversation over the phone. They're just like, just forget it. And they
Gotcha.
don't mean that, A, and B, there's no overcoming that once they say it on the phone.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate it.
No, my pleasure, man. Keep crushing it too. Nehemiah is constantly on the virtual adoption, so I have no doubt that he's going to be Hall of Fame 2021.
That is huge. I think it's created primarily for accountability. So I see managers and agents on this call today. So if you're not on this virtual call, your agents would not be on it either. You know, if you not jumping on to show them the way, they're not going to be there. Number one. Number two, if you dialing, just jump on it. Like help us support the movement and just be there. You're missing out big if you're not on the virtual office Monday or Thursday when we dial on the phone. So, but that's good. All right. So do we have more questions for Wayne?
Yeah, I have a quick question here. Actually, shout out to Nehemiah. We tried to team up yesterday and tag team a Spanish lead for Nehemiah. Great presentation that we did together. But so Wayne, when you're talking about preparing your leads the night before, right? So I literally just bought about 100 leads. So if I'm preparing for for my Thursday phone set, okay, tonight, what do you mean by preparing my leads for the next day?
What kind of leads did you buy?
I bought instant life leads, and let me see what else I bought. Oh, instant life leads.
Are they all internet leads?
Yes, I bought MailPro, new internet, and MailPro Instant, in about 5 different counties.
Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm exporting them all to a spreadsheet. And
Okay.
then all in a spreadsheet, I'm deleting the dead columns that I don't need. So there's some empty columns. There's a column that just says new all the way down because they're all new. And there's a duplicate column that has a secondary phone number. I'm making sure that all the phone numbers match and deleting one of those too. And then I'm arranging them by city so that when I'm dialing them, so if they're separate counties, I'm creating separate tabs for each county. And then within the county, I'm arranging them by city so that I don't have to think about how close the next one is in relation to the other one. I can just dial through them in succession without having to pull out a map or what have you to figure out which direction I'm going or how far it is. I'm just booking them in order, just going down the line. The other thing that I'm doing is I'm moving the phone number column to the beginning because that's the first thing that I'm going to do. And then it's going to be the name column, and then it's going to be the date of birth column, and then it's going to be the address column because that's the order that I'm verifying the information. I'm dialing a number, then I'm saying their name. Then I just need to verify the information. You put your date of birth here, your address as XYZ, and it's just putting it in order so that it makes sense, so that there's really no guesswork. And if you've ever watched me dial, is pretty mindless. I might, and I don't suggest this until you get there, but I might be doing 3 or 4 other things because I've taken the 5-10 minutes that it takes to put those things in order so that I don't have to think about it at all when I sit down to do it. I can just sit down and go.
Gotcha. And to follow up on that, thank you. On folks that kind of no-show you and all that, obviously, how far, like, are you doing drop-bys? Are you calling them again, trying to reschedule them again? Like, what is like, this week has been a little bit of a rough one for me with no-shows. So, I'm kind of like trying to figure out what would be my next strategy with these folks that I've been no-showed by.
Yeah. So if you look at, I'll show you. It happens to everybody. So if you look at my calendar, it's color coded.
Yeah.
Red is somebody I need to follow up with again. The blue is just a regular appointment. Yellow is a no-show. And then the orange is a reschedule. So I know that it was rescheduled from another day. So if they no-show me, then I know to go back and dial them and try to rebook it. This dude, I need to, definitely. If it's a no-show, I know I need to go back and dial it and try to rebook it. If it's a reschedule, I know it's a reschedule from another day. So it's a different sense of urgency. And if it's, I just track it that way. And I'm not rescheduling you over and over again, but I also know from that time that when you're going to be home. So I can just drop by if I'm in the area and I don't have an appointment, or if somebody else no-shows me and I'm in your area. I know that you're typically home about that time because you originally scheduled the appointment, and for whatever reason you avoided me that day. So then it becomes a door knock if I can't get you back on the phone.
Gotcha. Okay.
So how many times are you rescheduling then? Sorry.
I'm really only rescheduling you once. I mean, unless after that you reach out to me or you're extremely apologetic and say and give me a specific time where you need to get it done. Otherwise, I'm not, that's why we buy leads. I'm not playing the cat and mouse. Like, you need this more. You and your family need this more than I do. I have other people to go see.
Awesome. All right. Well, Wayne, unless we have more questions, I know you in the field, you're busy, and we caught you right in between appointments. We want to appreciate your time. And just say thank you, man. You're, to me, you're a number one team player. So there wasn't a time you weren't able to help an agent that called you, and you definitely true testament to the system. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you for jumping on and helping us out today. If you can just give us parting shout, then we're gonna wrap.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of and there's a lot of cliches that you'll hear throughout life, and one that sticks out, especially where it comes to this, is closed mouths don't get fed. And what I mean by that is we don't know what you need. We don't know what you're going through. Like, if you don't pick up the phone and say, hey, Wayne, hey, Ivan, this is what happened. What do I do? Like, we don't know to call you and say, hey, I just felt like in my soul that you were struggling. What can I, like, you got to pick up the phone and call us. And it's something that Ivan was really good at when he started. It's something that I was really good at when I started. I just in the beginning, especially now, just be selfish. If you need help with something, pick up the phone and call somebody. We give you our phone numbers for a reason. You have our email addresses. You have our staff's email addresses. Just use us. I don't tell very many people to use me, but just use me, because I used a bunch of other people to get to this point, and I'll continue to use people to get to $1 million. I need you to use us to get from wherever you are to wherever you want to go.
Awesome. Well, Wayne, thanks once again, man. We appreciate you. Enjoy your day, guys. And I'm gonna use you right now, Wayne, and your phrase. We'll see you on the leaderboard. Have a great day, guys.
Have a good one.